Welcome back to my channel LEARN.COM. As you can see on your screen, today I'm going to take up a very humorous and interesting poem. Have you ever seen? Continuing with this poem, let's begin the explanation part. But before moving to the explanation part, let me give a brief description or a short introduction about the poem. That is, have you ever seen? The poem is basically about homographs and their magic in real life. Now, how these homographs are applied in real life in order to create that magical effect, in order to create that humor. Since the poet's name is not revealed to us, so we can say that the poet is unknown, that is anonymous. Now, before moving on to the poem, let us first understand why this poem is so humorous. Now, what is the reason behind the poem being so humorous? As all of you know, that in English language, a single word has several meanings depending upon how it is used in a sentence. Some words have different meaning when used in different sentence, and the poet has used this element of English language in making the poem humorous. That is, using a word with different meaning. That is, when the meaning does not belong to the word, makes the poem amusing and interesting. He has used a lot of rhetoricals, means he has put forward his views in the form of a question, whereby he is not expecting any kind of answer from us, but just he is putting forward his views in the form of a question, that is rhetorical questions. So let's jump into the poem. Here I'm going up with the first slide. Let's just read the poem first. Have you ever seen a sheet on a river bed, or a single hair from a hammer's head? Has the foot of a mountain any toes? And is there a pair of garden hose? Does the needle ever wink its eye? Why doesn't the wing of a building fly? Can you tickle the ribs of a parasol, or open the trunk of a tree at all? Are the teeth of a rake ever going to bite? Have the hands of a clock any left or right? Can the garden plot be deep and dark? And what is the sound of the bird's spark? So as you can see on your screen, question marks at the end of all these sentences. It means he has used the rhetoricals just to create that effect. I'm again telling you, he is not expecting any kind of answer from us, but he just is putting forward his views in the form of a question. So such sentences are called rhetorical questions. Now it is a type of figure of speech also. So if you have any doubt regarding the figure of speech, or you want to go in detail about this rhetorical questions, you can watch my video on the topic figure of speech, and the link is provided below in the description box. You can go there, click the link and go through the topic. So now let's move to the next slide, whereby I'm going to explain one by one line. I've taken a single line on every slide, and with the help of images I'll make you understand how the poet has used these homographic words to create the humorous effect. Now here we go with the first line. Have you ever seen a sheet on river bed? Now here the word bed, as you can see, is used in two contexts. Now a river bed, as you can see in the figure, left hand side here, the bottom portion of the river, that is the surface on which the river flows, is known as the bed. And the second bed, as you can see on the screen, is the bed on which we sleep. Now the poet, how he is creating the humor, that in our day-to-day life, the bed which we use, we put a bed sheet over it. Now here the poet is applying the word in a different way. He wishes to say that, can we have we ever seen a sheet on a river bed? Means normally on our bed we put on bed sheets, but can we ever put a bed sheet on a river bed? So this is the way in which he wishes to create the humor. He's trying to create a humor which is not at all possible. So he's using this homographic word with different meanings. Next one. Or a single hair from a hammer's head. A head, as you know, the upper portion of a hammer is also termed as the head of the hammer. And normally in our daily life, this body part, the upper body part of our, that is above the neck, is known as the head portion. Now, normally we the human beings have hair on our head, but what the poet is saying, that have you ever seen a single hair on the hammer's head, or single hair from a hammer's head, which is not at all possible. So we have hairs. As a human being, we have hairs on our head, but on hammer's head, we cannot find even a single hair here. Has the foot of a mountain any toes? Now both these figures, see the human foot and the foot of the mountain. Foot of the mountain means the base of the mountain. That is the lowest portion from where the mountain starts. That is called the foot of the mountain. And we human beings have our foot. Now what the poet is trying to say, that human beings have toes, but does a mountain has any toes? Has the foot of a mountain any toes? No, absolutely not. But he's not expecting this answer from us. He's just telling his opinion in the form of a question. Has the foot of a mountain any toes? Humans are having, but does the mountain foot has any toes? Obviously not. And is there a pair of garden hose? Now hose, as you can see, a garden hose is the flexible pipe which is used in the garden for watering the plants. But on the second side, we can see a pair of hose means a pair of stockings. That is large socks, you can say, which we use in our daily life. They come in a pair. They never come in single. The socks, the stockings, these hoses, they come in a pair. But have you ever seen a pair of garden hose or the flexible pipe which we are using in the garden? Do we have a pair of it? No, obviously not. We are having a single. Does the needle ever wink its eye? Now, as you can see, needle, a very common article, a very common thing which is found in it's a very common household item found in every house, every home. Now, if you notice the needle, the upper section from which the thread passes is known as the eye of that needle. So it is termed as the eye of the needle. And we human beings have eye. And human beings have this capability of winking the eyes. That is, quickly closing the eye, winking the eye. But have you ever seen a needle's eye winking? Because it is also termed as the eye of the needle. But does the needle ever wink its eye, as humans do? Not at all. Why doesn't the wing of a building fly? See again, wing. The word wing is a homographic word here. Now as you can see, big complexes whereby we have many buildings, they are given different names, wings, wing A, wing B, wing C, wing D. In this way, the number of buildings are termed as different wings. And on the other hand, the term wing is used for the part of the body of the birds which they use to fly. But the poet is creating the humor by asking us that why doesn't the wing of a building fly? Because normally the wings are used by the birds to fly high in the sky. But why doesn't the wing of a building fly? Both are wings. So why the building is not flying? So in this way, it's trying to create the humor. Can you tickle the ribs of a parasol? Now ribs, again the ribs is a homographic word having different meanings. Now when we talk about human beings, so these bones which form the chest portion, the circular bones as you can see on your screen, these are called the ribs, right? And the ribs of a parasol, that is an umbrella, these are the ribs of the parasol. These small thread-like structures, metallic structure, these are called the ribs. But when we tickling is a word which means that touching a body part lightly so as to excite the surface nerves and cause uneasiness or laughter. So when we touch this portion of any human being slightly, it excites the surface nerves and it creates laughter. So tickling means creating the laughter by exciting the surface nerves. But can we excite the nerves or the surface nerves of an umbrella or of a parasol by tickling the ribs of a parasol? He's asking this question. Obviously, we cannot do, but he's putting forth his view in the form of a question that we can never tickle the ribs of a parasol as we do in the case of humans. Or open the trunk of a tree at all. Now the word trunk is again used in two different ways. Trunk, as you can see here, a box is known as a trunk, and we also call this portion of the tree as the trunk on which the tree stands. And normally this trunk can be opened and closed. We open the trunk, we put in our articles, different things, and then close it. But can we open this trunk, the trunk of a tree? Can we open it? No. So the poet is creating the humor by asking, can we open the trunk of a tree at all? Because both are trunks. One trunk we can open, but can we open this trunk? Not at all. Are the teeth of a rake ever going to bite? Teeth. Not teeth. Normally, we human beings have the teeth, as you can see in the picture. And we can also bite. If someone puts finger in our mouth, we can bite with the help of teeth. But this figure on the right hand side, as you can see, a rake. A rake is a garden tool which is used in gardening. Now this portion of the rake is termed as teeth of the rake. So as human beings can bite with their teeth, can the teeth of the rake also be used to bite? In this way, he's asking the question, can teeth of the rake bite? Are the teeth of a rake ever going to bite? So this is the way he's trying to create humor. Both are teeth, but with one we can bite, but with the other we cannot. But he's applying the meaning of biting here with the rake. Have the hands of a clock any left or right? As you can see on your screen, the left hand side picture of the clock. Now the needles of the clock are often termed as the hands of the clock. So hands of the clock, and we have human beings have our hands. So both the places we are using the term hands. But human beings have their hands, and we can classify the hands as left and right. But can we do it in the case of the clock? That is, is the hands of clock having left or right? No. So have the hands of clock any left or right? Not at all. But he's not expecting this answer. Always remember this. I'm telling you, but he's not at all expecting it. Can the garden plot be deep and dark? Can the garden plot be deep and dark? Now see, one plot, as you can see on the screen, the small sections of land are called the plots. And this is a plot, this section is a plot, this green section is also a plot, small sections of plot. Now the other term plot, which is often used with reference to novels, that plot means a story that is told in a novel. It's a literary term used to describe the events that make up a story or main part of a story. So a plot helps in taking forward the story of that novel. Now the structure of the novel depends on the organization of events in the plot of the story, how the events of the story is organized. So a plot or story is considered to be dark if it deals with the stuff that would make people feel uncomfortable, something like war, crimes, terrorism, etc. You can see in the picture various movies. You must have seen various movies, various serials, web series, whereby you see various plots are used. Some plots are based on crime stories, some are romantic stories, some are terrorist-based stories. So this term plot is also used with such situations. But can the garden plot be deep and dark? Deep and dark means, is the garden plot based on the crimes, terrorist activities or something like that? Can it be deep and dark? Not at all. And what is the sound of the bird's bark? Now bark again is used as a homographic word here. Barking, in context with the dog, it is used when the dogs produce a sound that is called the barking. Dogs bark, but the birch tree, which the poet has mentioned, the outer covering of the trunk is also called as the bark, the outer layer of the tree. So have you ever seen or have you ever heard the sound of the birds bark? Because normally when the dogs bark, we get to hear the sound. But have we ever heard the sound of the birds bark? Because this is also bark, and the sound produced by the dogs is also called barking. So we have never heard the sound of birds bark. So in this way, as we have seen, the poet has taken various situations in order to create the humor and that interesting effect by using the homographic words. So I think you must have understood how we can use a single word with different meaning in different situations. So using a particular word in correct context will give the right meaning. If we are not using it in correct sense, it may create the humor and confusion also. So with this we come to an end of this video.